Lily Parker knew she was being erased the moment Mark Stanton walked into the glass boardroom and smiled at the legal team like he owned the future. He pointed at the projector and said, "Cut her contract, and outsource the rest." His voice sounded casual, but the message hit harder than any alarm. He treated her like a broken calculator, unaware that she legally owned the very system he wanted to replace. 3 weeks later, their biggest client sent a cold email that said, "We are terminating due to IP risk," and that was when the boardroom finally understood the disaster. They had not just fired an engineer. They had fired the keys to their entire company. Lily watched the scene from behind the frosted glass wall, the one the sales team jokingly called the aquarium because nobody inside could see emotions outside. But Lily did not need audio to understand the tone. For 5 years, she had decoded complex patterns for Rivergate systems, so reading a man like Mark was easy. He stood at the head of the table with his hands chopping through the air like he was slicing away human beings. "Legacy waste," he called them. "We need speed." Lily watched his mouth move, watched the board nod, and watched her own erasure unfold like a slow movie she could not pause. She walked quietly back to her desk, her heels muted by the soft corporate carpet. Her workspace was almost empty because she had learned long ago that sentimental items do not belong in places where you can be erased without warning. She sat down, unlocked her terminal, and watched her code scroll past like a river of logic. It was elegant, strong, and alive. Mark saw it as a cost center. Lily saw it as something else entirely. She whispered to herself, "It is property. And it is mine." She closed the terminal gently, already preparing for the storm she knew was coming next. The next morning at exactly 10 o'clock, Mara Collins from Human Resources appeared at her desk. She did not make eye contact. She simply tapped the gray partition and said, "Lily, bring your laptop please." Her voice sounded thin, like someone forced to carry out a punishment she did not agree with. Everyone around them froze in silent sympathy. Everyone knew the rule: if HR asked for your laptop on a Tuesday, you were not coming back. Lily stood, kept her face calm, and followed Mara into a small office where Mark Stanton sat pretending to check emails. He did not greet her. He did not look up. He just waited for Mara to begin the ritual. Mara slid a thick envelope across the table. Her hands trembled slightly. "We are eliminating your role as part of restructuring," she said softly. Mark finally looked up and added, "Nothing personal, Lily. We just need speed." She almost laughed at the word. Faster meant cheaper. Faster meant careless. She opened her leather folder and placed a single paper in front of them. "I will sign," she said calmly, "but first you sign this." Mark frowned. "What is that?" Lily flipped the page to a circled clause. "The ownership clause. Once you fire me without the transition agreement, the whole system returns to my company. So where is the signed copy?" Mara went pale. Mark went silent. And the trap Lily set 5 years ago finally woke up. Mark leaned back in his chair, forcing a laugh that did not sound natural. "That is meaningless contract language, Lily," he said, waving his hand like she was a child telling stories. "The company owns the code. That is how employment works." But Lily did not blink. She pointed to the circled clause again. "Not this code," she replied calmly. Mara stared at the page, her breath unsteady. She knew enough to recognize danger when she saw it. Lily kept her voice steady. "Without that signed transition agreement, Rivergate loses the license today." Mark rolled his eyes. "Just sign the papers, Lily. Or you get no severance," he said as if rushing through a grocery list. Lily picked up the pen, and for a moment, Mara looked like she wanted to warn her. Instead, Lily signed every paper with slow, steady strokes, knowing exactly what she was triggering. Mark snatched the forms and stood up saying, "Security will walk you out." He walked away without a single backward glance. Lily smoothed her skirt, looked at Mara and whispered, "Good luck." Mara looked ready to faint. Lily walked out of the office she helped build, passing server rooms humming with quiet power. She did not pack a box because she had nothing personal to take. The code was in her mind and the rights were locked in her home safe. She stepped into the elevator and pulled out her phone. Instead of sending a farewell message or making a speech online, she sent one text to her attorney, a sharp woman named Nia Cross. The message said, "It is time." When the elevator opened, Lily walked into the sunlight with a calm smile. At home, Lily opened the safe behind her bookshelf and pulled out the notarized deed for her intellectual property rights. She checked the copyright papers registered under her small company called Harborline Works. Everything was intact. As long as I was an employee, they were safe, she whispered. But now they are using it without permission. She sat at her computer, created 3 emails, and attached every legal proof. She did not threaten anyone. She did not touch a single Rivergate server. She simply informed them of reality. The law would handle the rest. The first email went to Rivergate's internal counsel. It explained that without a transition agreement, Rivergate must stop using the code immediately. The second email went to the outside audit firm that controlled Rivergate's compliance. The third email went to vendor management, warning all partners not to touch the system illegally. When she clicked send, Lily leaned back in her chair with a deep breath. She whispered, "The wheels are turning now." Inside Rivergate's headquarters, panic began quietly. An administrator named Arthur, known for following rules too closely, clicked a small checkbox that froze the entire outsourcing project. Lily smiled. The avalanche had begun. Inside Rivergate, Arthur's tiny checkbox created a chain reaction no one expected. The overseas team Mark hired tried logging in, but every password returned an error. They sent worried messages, asking, "Why can't we access the system?" The managers panicked because they had promised Mark a fast delivery. Meanwhile, Lily received a quiet text from a junior developer named Sam. "Whatever you did," he wrote, "Mark looks like he swallowed a lemon." Lily smiled softly. She replied, "I did nothing, Sam. The contract is doing the work." She leaned back, knowing the first cracks had started to show. 3 days later, Rivergate held a loud all-staff meeting filled with bright slides but empty promises. Mark stood on stage pretending everything was normal. "We are entering a new era," he said, pacing proudly. "We are removing old obstacles." Lily watched secretly from a link Sam sent her. The employees looked confused, whispering among themselves. Someone finally asked, "What about the license issue?" Mark's smile faltered. "It is under control," he insisted. But Lily recognized the panic in his eyes. He was pushing confidence while holding a sinking ship together with shaking hands. Soon after the meeting, Rivergate tried to erase all traces of Lily's work. They ran a script changing her name to admin across the documents. They thought removing her identity would weaken her claim. But the system didn't care about edited files. The system cared about legal ownership. Deep inside the compiled code, Lily's copyright signatures remained untouched. A compliance tool scanned the platform and flagged a big red alert. "Ownership conflict detected," it reported. Engineers froze as the alert spread across monitors. Someone whispered, "This is bad." And they were right. It was only the beginning. Rivergate's HR team then tried sending Lily a false friendly email. "Hello Lily, we found a small paperwork gap. Please sign this quick form." The attachment was a retroactive rights transfer. Lily forwarded it directly to Nia. 10 minutes later, Nia responded to the entire executive team, "Stop contacting my client. She declines. Any further attempts will be seen as harassment." Lily placed her phone down calmly. She knew Mark was becoming desperate. He thought fear could hide a legal disaster, but fear only made the truth louder. The company was beginning to tremble around him. Meanwhile, Rivergate's general counsel Dana searched through old archives trying to find a loophole. She checked signatures, stamps, dates, anything that might weaken Lily's contract. But every document was airtight. Lily's clause had been fully approved during the merger years ago. Dana sank into her chair, realizing she had notarized Lily's LLC herself. If the board learned that she helped create the company now holding Rivergate hostage, her own job might vanish. She whispered to herself, "This is going to explode." And she knew the blast would land right in the boardroom. Outside Rivergate, Lily watched everything unfold through quiet reports from Sam and Lena, 2 engineers who trusted her. That afternoon, her alert system chimed. One of Rivergate's biggest logistics partners had suddenly rejected the platform's validation certificate. The connection closed instantly. Lily whispered, "And there it is." The engineers at Rivergate assumed it was a simple firewall bug and wasted hours chasing shadows. They did not understand the truth. The system was not broken. It simply refused to communicate with a company that no longer owned the legal key. Meanwhile, Rivergate's sales team made things worse. A manager named Jason rushed to assure a client everything was fine. "We own all the software," he wrote proudly. The client's legal team checked the public copyright records. They saw Lily's ownership clearly listed. They forwarded Jason's email back to Rivergate saying, "Please explain this contradiction." Panic erupted. But Lily did not panic. She simply opened a new document for Nia. "Add this to the evidence folder," she said calmly. Rivergate was creating its own trail of mistakes, and Lily only needed to watch. By the end of the week, Rivergate's security vendor, Sentinel Shield, issued an ultimatum. "Provide proof of legal ownership within 48 hours or we suspend all security services." Suspending security meant Rivergate's entire platform would be exposed. Mark exploded in anger, shouting at the engineering team, "Rewrite the whole system by Monday." The engineers stared at him in disbelief. "Rewrite millions of lines of code," one whispered. "In 2 days." But Mark didn't care about logic anymore. He cared about survival. Lily read the news through Lena's texts and whispered, "He is unraveling." Then came the twist Lily never expected. Ironvale Logistics, Rivergate's largest competitor, called her directly. Their chief engineer, Julia Ross, said, "We studied your architecture. It is brilliant. If Rivergate cannot secure a license, we would love to license it legally." Lily stayed quiet for a moment. Julia continued, "We respect chain of title. We pay well. And we would want you to supervise the integration." Lily looked out her window. For the first time since everything began, she felt the future open wide. Rivergate had underestimated her. Others saw her value clearly. At Rivergate, the collapse accelerated. Contracts fell apart. Clients left. Employees updated their resumes. Even Dana stopped defending Mark. She started preparing documents that showed he ignored every warning. The board began whispering about removing him. Lily watched from the outside, adjusting her own plan gently. She did not want to destroy the company completely. She wanted accountability, respect, and stability for the people still inside. She whispered, "This ending must be clean," knowing the final confrontation would come soon. The story was now moving toward its final arc. By Friday morning, Rivergate faced a critical deadline. A major client in Charlotte demanded a certified ownership document for the software by 5 p.m. No document, no renewal, their message read. The leadership team panicked because only Lily could legally provide that certificate. Mark tried calling everyone except Lily, shouting, "Find a workaround." But there was none. Meanwhile, Lily sat at her desk drinking tea, watching the minutes fall away like sand. She whispered, "They know the truth now," and waited calmly for the inevitable collapse that arrogance had triggered. At 11 a.m., Sentinel Shield delivered its blow. They revoked Rivergate's top-level encryption certificate. Every transaction slowed to a crawl. Warehouse workers complained that pages took 30 seconds to load. Drivers growled into their radios saying, "Nothing is updating." Rivergate employees stared at their screens helplessly. Lena texted Lily, "It is chaos here. People are crying." Lily typed back gently, "Hold on. This storm will pass soon." She understood that the system was not malfunctioning. It was obeying the law. A platform cannot trust a company that broke its own foundation. At noon, Mark held another emergency all-hands video call. He appeared exhausted, his voice shaky. "We are experiencing temporary delays," he said. "Security is adjusting their process." But the comment section was filled with employees asking hard questions. Why are clients leaving? Why is the certificate revoked? Is this about the code dispute? Mark ignored every message. Instead, he repeated, "Stay focused. Do not panic." But panic had already settled into the building. Watching from home, Lily whispered, "The more he lies, the faster the truth spreads." Behind the scenes, Mark attempted one final desperate move. He contacted a fast response software firm overseas and offered double their price. "Rewrite the core system in 60 days, he demanded. The firm reviewed the public copyright records and immediately declined. "We cannot touch disputed code," they replied. "We will not risk a lawsuit." Mark slammed his laptop shut in rage. Lena texted Lily, "He is shouting at walls now. He says you sabotaged everything." Lily responded calmly, "I touched nothing." The contract simply woke up. The truth required no help. By mid-afternoon, Rivergate's board planned an emergency meeting. They wanted answers from Dana, from finance, and from Mark. Meanwhile, Dana accidentally sent a legal memo meant for executives, but it reached the entire company instead. It read, "We must assume we have no legal right to operate the core platform. Every transaction may be unauthorized." The office froze. Support agents stopped answering calls. Engineers put down their keyboards. Salespeople closed their laptops. In one moment, the illusion shattered. Lily read the memo and whispered, "There it is. The truth spoken from inside." The Charlotte client terminated their contract at 5:01 p.m. The revenue loss hit Rivergate like a hammer. The board could no longer pretend this was a small dispute. They called Lily's personal phone at 7 p.m., but she let it ring. At 7:55, she walked into Rivergate's lobby with Nia beside her. This time, the guards did not escort her out. They simply nodded and opened the elevator. Lily stepped inside calmly. She felt no anger, only clarity. Tonight, she was not an employee returning. She was the owner of the engine they had ignored. Inside the boardroom, the atmosphere was icy. Every director sat stiffly, eyes tired. Mark sat alone at the far end, his suit wrinkled, his expression hollow. Elliot, the chairman, welcomed Lily with a strained voice. "Thank you for coming," he said. "We need to resolve this tonight." Lily sat down opposite him, folding her hands neatly. "There is nothing to resolve," she replied softly. "There is only acknowledgement." Mark slammed his palm on the table. "She is holding us hostage," he yelled. Lily did not flinch. "No," she said. "The contract is." Nia opened her briefcase and slid forward the email showing Mark had ignored the warnings years earlier. The board members read it in silence, their faces darkening. Elliot finally said, "Mark, you lied to us." Mark stammered, "It was taken out of context." But no one believed him. Elliot rose from his chair. "We are voting now," he said calmly. "Motion to remove Mark Stanton as CEO." Every hand lifted. Even Dana voted yes. Mark sat frozen as security approached. He whispered, "You cannot do this." Lily looked at him gently. "You did it to yourself." After Mark's removal, Elliot turned to Lily. "Name your terms," he said. Lily spoke clearly, her voice steady. "First, Rivergate will license the Harbor Line system yearly. Second, independent audits every quarter. Third, no retaliation against engineers or compliance staff." Elliot nodded without hesitation. He understood this was the only way forward. Dana reviewed the contract and signed quickly, eager to rebuild. At 9:30 p.m., Lily signed the master license agreement. She did not sign as an employee, but as a business owner. She had reshaped the story on her own terms. Lily walked out of the building with Nia, the night air cool against her skin. Outside, the city lights glowed like quiet witnesses. "You could have taken a board seat," Nia said softly. Lily smiled. "I do not want to sit in meetings," she replied. "I want to build." Her phone buzzed with a message from Julia at Ironvale. "Our offer still stands. We are ready when you are." Lily locked the screen and took a breath. Rivergate would pay her yearly. Ironvale wanted to partner next. The future was open, steady, and finally hers. The next morning, Rivergate released a public statement announcing Mark's removal and the new licensing partnership with Harborline. Inside the building, employees whispered with relief. Sam texted Lily, "Thank you, we finally feel safe." Lily smiled at the message. She replied, "Take care of the system. It deserves steady hands." Meanwhile, the news spread quickly through the industry. Clients who had left began reconsidering. Reporters called the turnaround a quiet victory led by the architect they tried to erase. Lily read the articles calmly. She did not crave attention. She only valued truth. That afternoon, Elliot held a private call with Lily. "We want stability," he said. "Your structure lets us rebuild." Lily listened carefully. He added, If you ever want a consulting seat, the door is open. Lily thanked him but declined gently. I built the engine, she said softly. But it is your company. I am not here to rule it. Elliot nodded with respect. Lily ended the call and turned to her window, watching the city flow. She felt lighter. The fight was over. The future was no longer a battlefield, it was an open road. Later that evening, Lily reviewed a new message from Ironvale. Julia wrote, "We admire how you handled everything. We are prepared to license your technology for the secondary markets." Lily typed back, "Let us discuss next week." She wanted time to breathe before stepping into another major deal. Nia sat across from her and said, "You realize you now control the standards of an entire industry?" Lily laughed softly. "I only controlled what was mine," she answered. "Nothing more." But deep inside, she knew she had stepped into a different world, one built on respect. Over the next few days, Lily reorganized her small home office. She stored legal folders neatly, updated systems, and drafted plans for a new project she had long dreamed about. A platform built without fear, she whispered to herself. She remembered the years she spent at Rivergate, the nights she worked alone, the quiet satisfaction of solving impossible problems. That memory guided her more than revenge. She wanted creation, not destruction. She told herself, "This chapter ends today," and closed the folder with a soft final snap. When Lily finally stepped outside for a walk, she felt the world shift. People hurried past her, unaware of the storm she had just navigated. She breathed deeply, feeling peace settle in her chest. A call came from Sam. He said, "The team wants to thank you. You saved our jobs." Lily replied, "You saved yourselves by staying honest." Sam paused. "Will you ever come back?" he asked. Lily smiled gently. "No. I am building something new. But I will always protect what I created." Sam whispered, "We will take care of it." Back at Rivergate, the engineering floor slowly returned to life. Lena sent Lily a picture of the team smiling around their desks. "We are fixing things the right way now," she wrote. Lily answered, "Good. Build carefully. Build proudly." She looked at the message for a long moment. She felt no bitterness, no envy. She felt closure. Rivergate would survive because people like Lena and Sam were still there. They respected the craft. They valued the architecture. And they would never forget how close they came to losing it all. One quiet morning, Lily visited her favorite cafe and sat near the window with her laptop. She drafted the blueprint for her next system, something more elegant and scalable than anything she had built before. A stranger nearby said, "You look focused." Lily smiled politely. "I am starting something new." The stranger nodded and replied, "Beginnings are powerful." Lily thought about that sentence carefully. She realized she was no longer someone defending her past. She was someone building her future with steady hands and a clear mind. A week later, Lily and Julia from Ironvale met virtually. Julia said, "We are ready to move forward whenever you are comfortable." Lily replied, "Let us start small, then grow naturally." Julia agreed with a warm smile. "Your terms set the foundation." Lily nodded. She felt no rush. She wanted her work used responsibly, not weaponized. After the meeting, Nia said, "You have both power and peace now. That is rare." Lily looked out her window and replied, "I chose peace." The power simply followed. That evening, Rivergate hosted a quiet internal ceremony thanking the engineering team. Lena sent Lily a video clip. Elliot raised a glass and said, "To the architect who saved us, even when we failed her." The room applauded softly. Lily watched the video with a warm, quiet smile. She did not need to be there. She had already received everything she wanted: respect, acknowledgement, and a future shaped by her own decisions. She whispered, "This is enough," and closed her laptop gently. On the following Sunday morning, Lily stood on her balcony watching the sunrise stretch across the city. Her phone buzzed with messages: new clients, new opportunities, new beginnings. She placed it aside and breathed in the calm air. The battle with Rivergate had ended, and she had walked away not defeated, but transformed. She whispered, "My story belongs to me now." Across the city, Rivergate servers hummed under the protection of her license. Ironvale waited for their next call. And Lily Parker stepped forward into her new chapter, strong, steady, and finally free.